Hey, it's me, Vicki Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Now, we're coming up to Christmas. It is, if you're watching this when this video goes out, it's the 3rd of December 2024, third day of Christmas. And what I'm going to be doing building up to Christmas are some interesting Christmas connected stories, crime stories, etc. And I'm going to be telling you just some mysteries, some of which have been solved, some of which haven't been solved, but all with a Christmas connection. Now, in today's tale, if you like, it's not a tale, it's a real thing that happened. We're going to talk about the Christmas tree lady. And it may be something that you've heard about or maybe not. Anyway, this story took place in America, in Virginia. And let's have a little look at the actual location of this incident, I suppose you would call it. So it took place in Annandale in Virginia. Here we are on the map. We can see that Annandale is, where is Annandale? Right here near Springfield, near Washington, near George Washington's Mount Vernon. This is where it took place. And it's not far from Maryland. We've been to Maryland for cases before, Rachel Marin in particular. Here's the United States, so it's right over on the right here. That's where this incident took place. And it took place in a cemetery. When I say it took place, well, it did take place in the cemetery. It took place in the Pleasant Valley Memorial Park Cemetery. Let's have a look at it, the place itself. I think I've got a picture somewhere to show you. Yeah, the Pleasant Valley Memorial Park. And what happened? Well, it was a real mystery because on December the 18th in 1996, so almost 30 years ago, just after 9 a.m. in the morning, a woman was discovered deceased, lying on a plastic sheet in this cemetery, in the where the children, like the children's section where children would be buried, in the Pleasant Valley Memorial Park Cemetery. Now, I need to give you a little trigger warning here because this case does talk about self-deletion. So it may trigger people. If you're sensitive about that topic, probably better not to watch this. So just a little warning. Okay, so who was this woman? And the thing is, not only nobody knew who this woman was that was found deceased on a plastic sheet, she also left 2 notes with her. And these are the notes. So one of them said this: "Now I lay me down to sleep, soon to drift to eternal sleep. And though I die and shall not wake, sleep sweeter will be than this life I forsake." So that was one note that was found with this lady. The other note said this: "Deceased by own hand, Valium plus alcohol. Prefer no autopsy. Please order cremation with the funds provided. Thank you, Jane Doe." So those were the 2 notes that were found with the body of this lady. So the money that she left 2, I think it was $50 bills. Let me just check. It's a long time ago. 2 $50 bills probably wouldn't get you cremated nowadays. But apparently 1 bill was for the cemetery and 1 bill was for and the other bill, $50 bill, was for the coroner. And when she was, and I don't know if she had a full autopsy, she said prefer no autopsy, but of course she couldn't control that. If they wanted to give her an autopsy, I would imagine, to find out how she had died, they determined that she committed suicide by suffocation, but they could not identify her. So what she had done is put a bag over her head, and she'd secured the bag with tape. She was wearing a red shirt, a sweater, blue pants, and an Eddie Bauer jacket. There was an 8-inch Christmas tree next to her body, and her backpack was found next to her. So she was also apparently listening to a cassette tape using a tape player and headphones. So this lady, she had planned this. She'd got all the sort of things to comfort her around her. She was listening to the cassette. For some reason, she'd gone to the child's part of the cemetery. Though nobody... Anyway, I'll tell you, I'm jumping the gun a little bit about this. So for many, many, many years, this lady remained a Jane Doe. She could not be identified. Periodically, they would try and identify her. They would put out appeals, etc. They ended up nicknaming this lady the Christmas Tree Lady, and she was reported to be a Caucasian woman, around 5 foot, so not very tall, 1.52 meters, and between 50 and 70 years old. In her system, they found alcohol and diazepam, and they looked at all the nearby missing people's cases to try and find a match, but no match was found. So eventually, when was it? In the year 2000, they released this coloured sketch that we can see up in the corner. I'm going to show you a bigger version of it. Oh. Yeah, in the year 2000, they released this coloured sketch that they thought was probably what the Christmas tree lady looked like in real life. And the next to that, of course, is the Christmas tree that was found next to her. It's very sad, isn't it? Because the Christmas tree, it was coming up to Christmas. The things that she had with her obviously meant something to her, And it was funny that she was found in the children's section of the cemetery. But the note was very calm and collected. It seemed like she decided what she was going to do. She planned it accordingly. But for many, many years, this lady could not be identified. Now, I bet you can guess how all that changed. What came in? DNA, it's like a gift from God in a way, isn't it? Because it's helped to solve so many missing cases or so many unsolved cases, and also to give peace to families that for many, many years had not known what had happened to their loved one. It's a little bit surprising, I found, in this case, that they had never, because maybe they just hadn't seen any news about the Christmas tree lady, because she was being looked for. She had not been, when they found out who this lady is, she hadn't been reported missing, probably because she was a little bit estranged from her family. But they had hired private investigators to find her. They were trying to find her. So she wasn't completely forgotten, So it's strange, really, that it took so long to link everything up. But anyway, this is what happened. So let's say it was recently, only about 2 years ago, I think. In January 2022, this Texas lab, we must look at the Othram lab more closely one day, because they're the ones that are doing a lot of this genealogical testing. So they made tests using DNA, which were made possible by donations. I think they rely on donations. And in May 2022, they discovered a man called David Mayer, who could have been the Christmas tree lady's brother. However, they showed David the photo, the sketch, that we've looked at. Let's just look at it a bit closely again. So they showed David the sketch, and he could not say, because he had not seen her for decades, he could not say definitively that this was her, but his genes, matched hers. The familial DNA, they call it, don't they? So what they did next was they went to the sister. He had another sister, Annette Mayerclough, and after seeing the drawing, she said it was definitely her sister, and their sister, and their sister was called Joyce. And this Christmas tree lady finally was positively identified as Joyce Summers, who had gone missing many years previously. But as I say, they had employed a private detective to try and look for Joyce, but they had never reported her missing. Now, the police were, so they took DNA from the sister, Annette, and it matched up with Joyce's DNA. So they could positively now give a name to this Christmas tree lady only 2 years ago. After her dying in 1996, took all those years to identify her. And this is a photo of her, obviously, when she was young. I couldn't find any photos of her at the time that she disappeared. But you can see the resemblance, I think, with the colour sketch that was drawn. So, bless her, Joyce Marilyn Mayer Summers, who was born on July the 20th, 1927. And died on December the 18th, 1996. So she was finally identified. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about her life, what I could find on Wikipedia. Joyce was born on July the 20th, as I say, to Arthur Mayer and Margaret Mayer. And she had 4 siblings. So there were 4 other children in that family. So when she died, that meant that when she died, she was aged 69. And she was born in Iowa, in Davenport in Iowa in the United States. And she was last seen in 1981 in Tucson, Arizona. So quite a little way from where she was finally, a final resting place that was in Annandale, Virginia. So let's see, what did she do in her life? She was raised on a farm. She attended Iowa State University. She then relocated to Los Angeles to work at 17 magazine and lived with an aunt. And after she left that magazine in the 1950s, she taught 2nd grade at a local Catholic elementary school. Now, it was around that time that she started seeing a psychiatrist, and about some, obviously mental health problems that she had. And this psychiatrist, according to what they're saying, alienated Joyce from her family, because I think it was probably a time when everything was the mother's fault. Which I think everybody blames the mother even now. They seem to forget about fathers. But so she was blaming her family for problems that she had. And this led to a rift in the family. And basically, I think the last time they saw her, anybody from her family saw her, was in 1981. Anyway, she did get married. She moved to Seattle as well. So she's moved around quite a lot. And she married a man called James, but she never even told her family that she was getting married. So her family at the time were totally unaware that she was even getting married. You know, her estrangement from her family was so great at the time. Anyway, so they didn't have any children, apparently, but it's said that she had a cesarean scar. Now, was she in that? They couldn't, when they started investigating into the children that were buried in that cemetery, they couldn't find any connection between Joyce and any of the graves there. But I think there's a reason why she did it in the children's section of the cemetery. I mean, it's total, supposition or total speculation on my part. Because her sister said, as far as she knew, she never had any children, but she had a large scar across her stomach, which possibly indicated a cesarean section. So I wonder, I mean, did she have a baby, or did she have, was her baby stillborn? Or was the reason that she did what she did in the children's part of the cemetery just like because she was sad that she never had children? What happened? Was that a cesarean scar? That's something we'll never know. Only Joyce knows that, of course. And if Joyce did have a child who died sadly, or whatever happened, hopefully, I hope they're reunited. I hope she's at peace now, Joyce. I mean, it's funny with this story because it is sad, of course. It's sad when anyone decides to take their own life, but we don't know what the reasons were behind it. But she wanted to do it, if you like. So she was making a choice in her life, doing what she wanted to do. So it's I don't know, I get this feeling around Joyce that she is probably happy now, in the next world or whatever. What the reasons were, as I say, why she did it, I don't know. Anyway, what else was I going to tell you about? Oh yeah, so she got married. Apparently they didn't have children, but we're not, nobody knows why she had this scar across her stomach. She did, then they divorced. Her and her husband eventually divorced in 1977, and she moved to a trailer park in Tucson, Arizona, where she was described as being unhappy, according to her siblings. And in the early 80s, this was when they last saw her, her siblings all visited her, and she asked them to help her build a home. And they refused, which apparently really upset Joyce. And this was the last time, this visit was the last time that Joyce was seen by her family. They believed she had joined a cult, and they later hired a private investigator to locate her, but he never did. So there were some hints that she moved to the East Coast, but these leads went nowhere. And some police databases indicated she may have lived in Northern Virginia in 1996, possibly in Alexandria. And there were also some public records that revealed an address for her in Washington, which isn't far from where she was found, where she supposedly lived, or there was an address there for her, which was a townhouse on Massachusetts Avenue, which has since been incorporated into another building. So apparently in the early 1990s, her brother Larry traveled to Tucson in an attempt to locate her, but he found her trailer was abandoned. In it, he discovered 4 copies of a book, The Target Child, which was written by Joyce. In the book, she wrote her account of a traumatic upbringing. Now, the other siblings say they didn't have a traumatic upbringing. That it was, but was it, was she like the scapegoat of the family? Sometimes you get in families, you get what's called a scapegoat. They're the person that get all the blame for everything, and the other children get treated quite well, and the scapegoat child, doesn't. Anyway, she wrote a book. So she's written this book, which I don't know if it's available to buy or not. But it's called The Target Child. Let's see if I can find any details about that. Anyway, let me just say what Othram said about this case, before I look for a book. So they said, after decades of wondering what happened to their loved one, Joyce's family is finally at peace. Because, we've talked about this. There's nothing worse than somebody being missing and you don't know what's happened to them. Thanks to the dedicated work of several generations of FCPD detectives, anonymous donors, and Othram. Our detectives never stopped working for Joyce and her family. Advances in technology will continue to help close cases and provide answers to victims' family. So the person who said that was Major Ed O'Carroll, who's the Bureau Commander of Major Crimes, Cyber and Forensics. So at the time of her death, she had no family in the immediate area. Let's see if I can find some details of this book. So she obviously had a lot of resentment towards her family, and maybe it was justified. I don't know enough about it to know if it was true or not, or if it may, maybe, just don't know. I don't know enough details to know whether Joyce's claims were true or not. So let's see. Yeah, The Target Child was her book was called. But nobody, I'm just looking on Reddit here. People are saying that they can't find it anywhere. Let's have a look. I can't find the writings anywhere. Was it ever released anywhere? Right, now, according to Reddit, let's go, let me share this with you. Reddit, normally, they're normally quite good, but of course, you've got to take it. It's just what people are saying on Reddit. She self-published them, and there were only 4 copies, since she most likely did this in the late 80s, early 90s. I'm willing to bet that all she did was print out the pages herself and staple them together. If these had been submitted to literary agents, one of them would have stepped forward with a copy. So her brother said he found 4 copies, didn't he? So I don't know what he's done with the copies. I don't know where the copies are now, whether the brother's still alive, if he's still got it. But it's a sad story. We just hope. It's sort of a sad story, but it's good that her family were given resolution in the end, because although she probably felt her family did not care about her, I think they did care about her, because they actually got a private detective to try and find her. So maybe they did care about her, and maybe she just didn't realise they did. Maybe the trauma of whatever happened in her childhood, we don't know exactly what it was. She said in her book, what sort of trauma it was, what sort of abuse it was. I don't know if it was sex abuse or whether it was, sort of like, there's so many different types of abuse that it could be, mental, physical, but not sex. So we don't know. We don't know the details of why Joyce sort of took herself away from everyone, cut herself off from her family. We don't know why her marriage broke down. We don't know if that scar on her tummy, was from a child, from giving birth to a child. And we don't know why she chose the children's section of the cemetery to to do that. Maybe she felt like a child inside. You know, there's various reasons. We don't know. We may never know, maybe. But anyway, I thought it was something sort of like bittersweet, isn't it? I mean, it is sad. It's so very sad. But it is good that she was finally identified. You know, maybe she'd be annoyed about that because she called herself Jane Doe. She didn't want to be identified, maybe. But as far as her family's concerned, at least they know that she's at peace now, one way or another. And let's hope she is. So let's light. I'm going to show the candle for Joyce. I hope you found, you know, I'm going to be doing several Christmas stories, if you like, tales leading up to Christmas. Now, this is not a crime. This is not true crime, but I think it's a very interesting example as well of how DNA is just a game changer, isn't it? So a mystery from 1996 solved 2 years ago by familial DNA. It wasn't the first, it won't be the last. It's quite a high profile one because she'd been given this nickname, Christmas Tree Lady. You know, there'll be loads of people out there, won't there? That every day somebody will be getting identified from familial DNA, either murderers or just missing people, you know, bodies that may have been found in rivers and things like that. You know, DNA is a good thing. It's definitely a good thing. And it's helped solve the mystery of the Christmas Tree Lady. And maybe it's helped her to be at peace. Again, you sort of get that feeling. I don't know, maybe she'd prefer to be private, or maybe she's sort of looking down now. She's in a different place now. She'll be thinking in a different way. You know, what would she make of it all? I wonder. And if she did have a child that died, I hope to God, you know, that they are reunited. So rest in peace, Joyce, Christmas Tree Lady. And yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for caring about Joyce. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Oh, if you want to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe. Don't forget to press the notification bell. Thank you so much. Bye.